Hello, and welcome to the MyHogwarts.com Craft Guild. Hey guys! Sorry it's been so long since the original crochet-alongs. I know I promised that this video would come out pretty quickly afterwards, but it's been a little bit, I think probably about a month since then. So we have managed to finish our hats, or some of us have. Marie and I wanted to show you how we ended up coming up with our finished projects after the live videos ended. So I'm going to show you what Marie put together, and then I'll come back and show you how mine turned out.
Hi guys, Marie here. I wanted to show you all how my sorting hat turned out, as I wasn't able to finish it on screen with everyone in the crochet along. I also made a couple more changes to it because I enjoy making changes to things after I'm nearly finished. So if you remember from watching the first video, I used a smaller crochet hook than the pattern recommended. I used a 4mm, I think, and it called for a 10. After I had almost finished the whole pattern, I discovered that this wouldn't even fit my owl's head. Here he is without a hat. Isn't he adorable? So anyway, I decided I was going to redo the whole thing using a hook 2 sizes larger. So I've now finished it using a US size I believe it's a 5.5mm, but I'm not sure because this particular one doesn't have the millimeter sizing on it. The joys of having multinational crochet hooks. Anyway, because I was redoing it, I didn't continue where I'd left off. Instead, I decided to start the whole thing from the beginning, which meant unraveling my original one in order to use the yarn.
I don't recommend doing this because if you're too lazy to wrap it around the ball of yarn and have it look all nice and neat like that, you end up with a big pile of yarn that looks like this, and crocheting from that isn't fun.
Despite my rather tangled and messy yarn and several instances of me just giving up and walking out of the room to do something else, I did finally manage to finish the hat for the most part. I ended up running out of yarn a couple of rounds before the end, and so the brim is, I think, 3 or 4 rounds shorter than it ought to be, but it still looks okay, so I couldn't be bothered to try and find any other yarn to match it. Then came the next part, trying to actually get the mouth to stay where it's supposed to. It was difficult.
I can't get it to stay inside the hat long enough for me to work out where I'm even supposed to sew this through.
I don't enjoy sewing. I love crocheting, but sewing things together is really not my strength.
I think I finally worked out how to sew the mouth in place though. And the eyebrows thing too. It looks a little odd, but I have got the knots pretty secure on the inside, I believe, so I think that should be okay. I also sewed a little bit up at the top because my hat wouldn't flop on its own. Of course, if you made it larger and with thicker yarn and a bigger hook like you're supposed to, it probably would, but I had to sew it down so it would have the proper flop. Hufflepuff! Of course, where else would my owl be sorted? Doesn't he look adorable? And the hat looks adorable too.
So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this very awkward, hopefully not too badly edited video of me chattering on. And I hope that if you did your own sorting hat, you've managed to sew it better than I did. My mouth looks weird. I don't know. It feels like he's confused or about to spit at you. I couldn't sew it properly. Probably works better if you do a larger version. But yeah, hope to see you all next time.
So Marie's story and mine are actually very similar. She ended up redoing hers. I actually ended up redoing mine entirely too. I had been using the recommended hook size for the pattern, which I think was a J. I've got the pattern here, just so I can tell what I did. No, it was an N, excuse me. We were using an N size hook, but I actually ended up pulling the whole thing out because it was just not big enough, and I would have ended up with a very long hat trying to get it wide enough to fit. So I redid it in this biggest hook that I own. It's a size P, which according to my very scientific measurements is like a 9.5mm. So whatever that works out to in your equivalent countries. And so it's bigger, and I also tried to make my stitches a little bit looser than usual. I tend to be a pretty tight crocheter, but I wanted to make sure that I had lots of space because I also wanted it to be a little bit floppy. It probably turned out a little bit more floppy than I needed it to be because this brim doesn't like to stay up. But I basically did everything the same from the top all the way through to the bottom. If you notice in the pattern, when you get to the bottom of the face and the bottom of like the main part of the hat, it'll say round 30 says to single crochet in each stitch, and then after that it tells you to continue increasing if you need it to be bigger. But that doesn't make any sense. So I definitely did those extra increasing rows before row 30. So those are like row 29.5 because yeah, I thought that one row without an increase made more sense to be right at the base of the hat before you start onto the brim. So I did end up doing 2 extra rows. And so what you have to make sure you do when you've added extra stitches is that when you're doing the brim, you still only want to increase 6 times each row, and they're alternating. That's how the pattern works. It's like you increase here and here, and then the next row you increase here and here so that it doesn't turn into a hexagon. So where in row 31 it says single crochet in next 6 stitches, and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Since I had done 2 more increase rows, I had to add 2 to all of those rows. So where it says 6, it was 8. Where it said, all the way down to the very last row says 12 stitches, I did 14 between each increase. But I did the same number of brim rounds. The only thing that was different is that at the end of it all, I decided I wanted sort of a decorative edging. And so I did what's called a reverse single crochet. And basically what that is, it's just what it sounds like. Instead of working right to left, you work left to right. Still doing the single crochet the exact same way, but then just going into the next stitch this way. So I believe now I'm forgetting. I don't think I turned. I think I just got to the end and then kept, turned around and went back the same way. But I could be wrong. I think it's possible that I turned and then did the reverse single crochet in the same direction I had been going. But in any case, that gives it kind of a little bit of a wrapped look, which I thought was interesting, and just a little bit of a decorative edging. Other than that, I don't think I made any other big changes. I wanted to kind of tell you about how I ended up sewing it together, because it is kind of complicated. I know Marie was complaining about getting the mouth to stay put, and I agree there, especially when you're using a fluffy chenille yarn like this. It's kind of hard to figure out where your place is. But I did just I kind of eyeballed it, and again with the chenille yarn, you have kind of a lot of leeway to make some, inaccuracies. I know some people commenting on the blog post where the pattern is posted complained about the mouth being off center, and I think when I was trying to do this mathematically, I found that that's actually the case, that it's like off center by 1 or 2 stitches, but I didn't really worry about that, and I just kind of stitched them together, just sort of back and forth. You're not going to be able to see the stitches because it's chenille, and I didn't even trim this edge down. So just stitched the mouth together. I left a little bit on either side to kind of give him those cheeks. And then in the middle, for the nose, I kind of did like in and then out. No, that's not right. In here and then out up top. And then in and the top and down and out in the bottom, if that makes sense. I'm basically kind of cinching here. I did that for about 2 rows to kind of make a nose. And then I actually also did just a little tiny tacking stitch on the inside of each eyebrow. So not the whole thing straight across, just the inside, because that kind of gives it sort of a narrower point here, and it's wider on the outside. And then with the nose kind of cinched in, it kind of pulls it down into that kind of scowl look. But, the cheeks kind of make him look happy still. So there you go. Is he angry? Is he happy? Is he putting you in Slytherin or Gryffindor? Who knows? The final step was to sort of stitch a couple tacking stitches just to tilt the top a little bit, because otherwise it does just stick straight up, because there's really no flop at all when rows are this small. So that's everything. It fits, I think, my husband a little bit better than me. It flops a little bit when you wear it, and the brim does kind of not want to stay straight up. I might want to try to starch it before I wear it again, but I think I'm probably going to need to wash it because we wore this at Comic-Con all week. We got so many compliments on this hat. Everybody just loved it. I think a couple people probably didn't know what it was, and other people were like shouting house names at us as we walked down the street. So it was really kind of cool to see people responding to it in that way, and I really enjoyed having it there. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching these videos. I hope that you crocheted along with us. If you did, please come to the Craft Guild at my Hogwarts in Hogsmeade and post pictures or videos. We'd love to see videos of your completed project. We have a thread, the show and tell thread, where you can show us your own projects of any kind, but we'd specifically love to see if you made these too and what you thought of the pattern, if you had to make any adjustments to it, or if it fits perfectly on the first try. So thanks for watching these, and go ahead and check out some other videos on my channel. There probably won't be a lot more crochet videos, but I always keep doing my bullet journal stuff, and maybe I'll teach you how to knit someday. If there's enough demand for it, let me know on myhogwarts.com, where Harry Potter nerds find their home, and it's just a really amazing site. If you haven't checked it out, check it out, myhogwarts.com. All right, thank you guys. See you later.